healer means that we have to not just identify, but also begin to really work, to really take action on all these hidden selfishness, hidden self-centeredness, self-loathing, and all this victimhood stuff and so forth, the victimizer, that all plays into this. So this is a quite complex subject, because being in that place of self-gain that is often hidden to us because it expresses in our hidden payoffs, in those secret pleasures, in vengeance seeking, in disdain, in projecting negativity towards others, even venting. So last week a lot of people had a big blowout, all right? And there's a self-gain behind the blowout. Of course, we all need to release energies when they are too strong. But what happens to the person that I'm projecting this onto, that I'm dumping this onto? And I know that most of you who are listening here are probably more sort of on the absorbing side of things. You know, you probably feel like a victim of energetic vampires or energetic projectors, or narcissists for that matter. And this was one of the subjects that I picked here for our live stream today, because I really wanted to shed some light in some of the misconceptions here. So yes, I know I catch a lot of negativity, and I catch a lot of criticism for being so bald and for being so direct. But I do really need to point out that this whole notion that is going around right now with empaths being the victims of narcissists is total BS, guys. All right? Now, if you get angry at me right now, that's okay. Hear me out, though. Okay, what is an empath? Let's move back. Last week we talked about this. Okay, an empath is a person who has an energetic sensitivity. So last week I defined that not every energetically sensitive person is an empath automatically. It has to do with how a person contextualizes things. So an empath typically contextualizes other people's emotions, other people's energies as something that is okay for them to be around, and often feels inclined to go with it, and to allow that person to, like, say, release those in terms of talking about things and trying to be of service. Okay, so an empath is someone who contextualizes other people's energies as something that they kind of need to work through. All right. An empath is also someone who's very prone to absorbing other people's energies because of that, because of the simple exposure. So we're exposing ourselves to other people's energies, and therefore, of course, we are in more danger. That's just like, you know, walking through an area where there's a war zone and people are shooting. I mean, you know, it's just more likely you get shot. All right, so there's two strategies you can deal with this as an empath, and that is, one, you either stop exposing yourself, which is what some of us choose. A lot of us have chosen to, like, cut ourselves off from our empathy, from our energetic sensitivity, and this is part of a lot of trauma and a lot of pain in many empaths. And the others have developed some kind of spiritual alignment along with this, and say, okay, you know, there must be a reason why I'm energetically sensitive, why I'm an empath, and maybe this means I'm supposed to be a healer, I'm supposed to do this, and I'm supposed to be of service. And some of us are really born with this. This is not really a mental concept. I know that I was born with this idea that I don't really want to harm anyone, or I don't really want to do anything to somebody else that I don't want to be done to myself. That was like sort of my prime directive. Now, does this mean that I never harmed anyone? Of course not. There's, I'm sure, a whole bunch load of people out there, especially past relationship partners, who will swear that I was very harmful to them. So this has to do with karmic stuff that I'm going to weave into this whole idea with empaths and narcissists. So anyway, so as an empath, we just have that aptitude to expose ourselves and to be hit more, to absorb more energies. All right, but it's part of what we choose, consciously or unconsciously. All right, this has to do with owning that part of our journey. What is a narcissist? All right, I know there's so much going on about empath and how special this is and how cool this is. You can hear this from some of the sarcasm in my voice, that I don't really think that it's very special. In fact, last week we discovered together that it's a good 20% of our population who classifies as energetically sensitives. But nobody really talks about narcissists. All right, well, first of all, narcissism has actually been declassified as not being a personality disorder anymore. So that's actually quite interesting. So if you're a psychologist, you know this in the handbook for psychologists. Narcissism used to be classified as a sort of pathological or over or exaggerated self-centeredness, sort of megalomania, for instance, and some of the traits that would be called as extremely egotistical. This is not considered a mental disorder anymore, or at least not a personality disorder anymore. And why is that? What do you think? It's because probably the other half of all these energetically sensitives nowadays qualify for narcissists. So what is going on with narcissism here? I don't have a PhD in psychology, and please correct me, please educate me if you have something to contribute here. But from the energetic point of view, a narcissist is someone, besides the labeling, of course. The labeling itself is part of the old paradigm as well as old world. But in order to understand and contextualize some of these things, we have to look at those labels. So a narcissist is an energetically sensitive person gone wrong. An energetically sensitive person who did not, or was not able to shut down their empathy, their energetic sensitivity when they were in a trauma situation, often in childhood. They were not able to cope with it. It was also not someone who could contextualize any of the experiences as learning experience, or as sort of part of the greater purpose. And so this person, which could be anyone, you and I, used an overextended and over sort of focus on him or herself to cope with the situation. It's almost like a protective measure. So when we talk about coping, and those of you who work with me know that coping is a neutral word. It's really just a sort of a way our system deals with things, and whatever the situation, the circumstances allow. We're going to choose coping mechanisms that are most beneficial for us in that moment. The problem with our coping mechanisms, and some of you who have experiences with substances, with alcohol, drugs and so forth, can probably relate to this. That if we stick to our coping mechanisms unreflectedly, and if we get stuck there, and if we never improve the quality, if we never really work on those things, then we become dependent. So what is a narcissist in that context? A narcissist is someone whose coping mechanism is the validation, the approval, the love, the attention from outside, and has made himself depend on it. And as a matter of survival, this person will do anything in its power, in his or her power, to get that kind of energy that is externalized. So we talked about externalization here a few minutes ago. So when our source of power is outside of us, then we become dependent. And a narcissist is just sort of the flip side of the coin, the flip side of energetic sensitivity. It is someone who is a very good energy reader, who knows how to use other people's emotions, other people's projections, even for their own self-gain. But underneath all that is a very hurt person who is never able to really heal these traumas. So I want you empaths to really go into empathy and see this. And so what's the attraction between empaths and narcissists then? Well, that's because they're basically both of the same nature. They attract each other because they represent the other side of the coin. So does this mean an empath is better than the narcissist? Because the empath usually ends up being the doormat, ends up being the victim? Think about it. Why do you fall for those love bombs? For this exaggerated, oh my God, you're so special, you're the best thing that could have happened to me in my life, you're the one and only, and being put on the pedestal. How come you're falling for that? Can you not feel this in your heart, that this is too much? And then all the gaslighting and the crazy making. What makes you stay there? What makes you feel attracted to a person that puts you on a pedestal in one moment and destroys you and annihilates you and your friends in front of everybody who tries to literally pull the carpet underneath your legs and tries to completely remove you from your source of your inner power? Have you ever thought about it that way? I can tell you what it is. You think that you can heal him. You think that you can fix this, that you can rescue this person. You think that there's a special purpose in this relationship and that you came to this world to help this person. Can you see the similarities? Can you see the parallels here? Guys, I'm not being judgmental, all right? I'm not trying to make any one of you feel bad. But quite frankly, if you want to get used to seeing truth, seeing things the way they are, you're going to have to look at things that way. I've been in many relationships like this. And yeah, we call those dysfunctional, toxic. Yeah, sure. But what is our part in it? How many times did I cry? Did I go into my own pain and, oh, why is it always me having to do this? Why am I the one that is always treated like shit? After all I've done for him. What's the payoff in that? The payoff is that I don't have to take responsibility. The payoff is that I can, lean back and say, oh, I'm so good, but nobody can see my goodness. Is this going to get you anywhere in your life? No, it is not. But do you have to go into the other extreme and go into like dog eat dog and overpower people and control them with your sheer willpower, with your sheer third chakra stuff? No. All you need to do is grow into your truth. And you will find your truth right there where you find your source of power. And actually, your truth is your power. And that is in your heart. I don't know if you know this, but I'm not just an energy healer. I'm also a business coach. I'm a mentor coach. I train other people to use these skills, to use energetic sensitivity, to negotiate contracts, to discern whether a business idea is a good and beneficial or integrous thing to go for. I help people to discern if a certain person matches a certain job description. There are so many applications for energetic sensitivity, but I can tell you one thing. Being treated as a doormat Is your energetic sensitivity gone wrong? Alright, so for this week, I really want to encourage you all to go into the expression of your truth. That's here, your throat chakra. I know, I've been talking about this for quite a while. And guess what? A lot of you people have issues in your throat. I do. And talking in front of an audience and coming out of the woodwork like this and expressing what I do here is not an easy thing to do. I'm not asking you to go do a live stream. What I'm asking you is to come out of the woodwork with who you truly are, the values that you stand for, the needs that you have, and the values that you have. Stand up for your integrity. Stop gossiping, you guys. Gossiping is one of the most toxic things that you can do for your fifth chakra. And it really binds your truth. And by the way, this is also why so many of you are afraid of other people's judgments. Because of your judgment. Every time you say something negative or you badmouth another person, guess what? Your energy cannot discern whether that was directed towards another person or yourself. You're absorbing your own negativity right there. Every time you project something onto another person, congratulations. You just clogged up your own energy system. So I hope you forgive me for my bluntness here, and I know I get a lot of encouraging posts from people, you know, who are encouraging me, who are telling me that this is great. Oh man, and I've missed like so many questions. All right, so I'm gonna try to answer your questions here. Whoops. Oh gosh, I still haven't figured out how to use this. Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. Here is a question. Oops. Gosh. Okay, some people agree, some people disagree. Yes, I've been saying this for years. Wonderful social disorder, yes. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing this, that you can relate to some of the things that I say. Yes. Yes, it's somebody is commenting here, a mutual parasitic romance. You know, from a neutral standpoint, that I see that too. Parasitic is maybe a little judgmental, but what it really is, from an energetic level, is two people sucking energy from another. It's just that in times like this, the victim looks a lot better on the outside and gets a lot more validation. So, yeah. Okay, so thank you guys for paying attention. I really, really appreciate you coming here. I appreciate your support. I'm doing this without ads and everything. So yes, I am advertising my own services, obviously. I work more than 10 hours a day, and so those of you who work with me know this. And I went to college. I spent 20 years and money in training myself to be able to do what I'm doing here. So please understand that I'm not doing this because I'm such a special empath. You know, I'm doing this to help people and to be of service, but I'm also doing this to survive and to express myself in my highest potential, and that is to help people to navigate through these occurrences right now. Just one last thing, next week, make sure that you guys don't fall for some of the residues of big emotions. There is still some absolution seeking in the air, which means some of the people around you that maybe vented last week, they may feel like they need your validation, they need your absolution, or you may feel like you need absolution. Again, what you're looking for can only be found from within yourself. Okay? So tap yourself on the shoulder, say, it's okay, I'm working on all of that. I'm in the process of learning who I am. I'm in the process of refining the expression of my highest potential. All right, and cut yourself some slack. It's okay to vent sometimes. Then just go back to your loved ones and say, hey, I'm really sorry. And what I really meant to say was, that I'm going through something right now. So don't beat yourself up when you find out that you have these secret payoffs and some of those victimizer things. And give me lots of likes. And watch my videos on YouTube and support me. I'm not monetizing those videos, so it's got to somehow pay out. So my payoff is your guys' attention, and I appreciate it. Thank you.